The south of France in the 13th century was a land of sunshine and turmoil. A new faith had taken root there called Catharism. Cathars believed in a simpler, purer form of Christianity. They rejected the wealth and power of the Catholic Church. This angered the Church greatly. In response, Pope Innocent III launched the Albigensian Crusade. This was a brutal campaign to wipe out the Cathars. Knights from the north were promised lands and riches if they fought. The Crusaders swept across the south, leaving a trail of death and destruction. Villages were burned, and men, women, and children were slaughtered. The crusade lasted for 20 years. It left a scar on the land and in the hearts of many. Gaspar de Sterenberg, a young knight, was caught in this maelstrom. He had joined the crusade seeking glory and God's favor, but the horrors he witnessed shook him to his core. The brutality, the bloodshed, it all seemed so far from the teachings of Christ. Doubt crept into his heart, a seed of disillusionment that would soon blossom into a life-altering decision. Gaspar had always been a devout man. He prayed daily and truly believed he was fighting for a righteous cause. However, the carnage of the crusade weighed heavily on his soul. He saw the terror in the eyes of innocent people. He heard their pleas for mercy, pleas that were always ignored. His faith, once a source of strength, began to crumble. One night, unable to sleep, Gaspar wandered out of his camp. The sky was ablaze with stars, the same stars that shone down on the battlefields below. He looked up and felt a profound sense of emptiness. Where was God in all this suffering? Was this truly his will? The answer, he realized with a sickening certainty, was no. He had been fighting on the wrong side, blinded by dogma and the promise of earthly rewards. Shame washed over him, followed by a wave of grief for the countless lives lost, including his own innocence. He knew he could no longer be a part of this war. He had to find another way, a path of peace and atonement. As dawn broke, Gaspar made a decision. He would lay down his sword and dedicate his life to peace. He would seek forgiveness for his sins, not through more violence, but through solitude and prayer. He slipped away from the camp unnoticed, leaving behind the life he once knew. His journey took him south, away from the battlefields, towards the quieter lands of the Rhone Valley. He walked for days, his armor heavy on his back, a constant reminder of his past. He slept under the stars, ate what he could forage, and spoke to no one. The silence, once unsettling, became a balm to his soul. He arrived in a small village called Tain, nestled on the banks of the Rhone River. A steep hill dominated the landscape, topped by ancient ruins. Drawn to its solitude, Gaspar ascended the hill, each step taking him further away from the violence he left behind. The hilltop offered a breathtaking panorama. Below him, the Rhone River meandered through vineyards, reflecting the sunlight like a ribbon of liquid gold. In the distance, the rolling hills of the Drôme stretched towards the horizon. The air was clean and fresh, carrying the scent of wildflowers and pine. Amidst the ruins, Gaspar discovered a small sheltered cave. It was simple, almost austere, but it offered him the solitude he craved. He decided to stay. This would be his hermitage, his sanctuary from the world and his past. He spent his days in prayer and contemplation. He reflected on his life, on the choices he had made, and on the path he now walked. He found solace in the rhythms of nature, in the rising and setting of the sun, in the changing seasons. Section 5. A labor of penitence, building the chapel. As the days turned into weeks, a desire to create took root in Gaspar's heart. He wanted to build something, not for glory or recognition, but as an act of penance, a testament to his newfound faith. He decided to build a chapel, a humble place of worship where he could offer his prayers and find peace. Using stones from the ruins, he began his labor. He worked slowly, carefully, his calloused hands shaping each stone with reverence. He had no mortar, no tools, just his bare hands and unwavering determination. The chapel, he believed, would be his offering to God, a symbol of his repentance and his commitment to a life of peace. Section 6. Nature's Sanctuary, planting the first vines. One day, while clearing the land around the chapel, Gaspar discovered something unexpected. Buried beneath the rubble and weeds were the remnants of an ancient vineyard. Vines, gnarled and twisted with age, clung tenaciously to life. He recognized them as Syrah, a varietal known for its rich, robust wines. He saw this as a sign, a message from God to cultivate the land. He carefully pruned the old vines and planted new ones. He tended to them with the same care and dedication he had shown in building the chapel. He believed that in nurturing these vines, he was nurturing his own soul, helping it to heal and grow. Section 7. The miracle of healing, a sign of forgiveness. For years, Gaspar had carried a painful wound. It was a battle scar, a constant reminder of his violent past. The wound refused to heal, a physical manifestation of his inner turmoil. Yet, as he worked the land, tending to his vines and his chapel, he noticed something remarkable. The wound, which had plagued him for so long, began to heal. At first, it was just a slight improvement, a lessening of the pain. But gradually, the wound closed, leaving only a thin scar. Gaspar saw this as a sign, a symbol of his own redemption. His penance, his devotion to peace had earned him God's forgiveness. Section 8. Legacy in Wine and Stone, Tan l'Hermitage. Years passed, and the story of the hermit on the hill spread. People began to seek him out, drawn to his wisdom and his aura of peace. They came seeking advice, solace, or simply a moment of tranquility in his presence. Gaspar, once a warrior, became a man of God, offering guidance and comfort to all who sought him. His vineyard flourished, producing grapes of exceptional quality. The wine made from these grapes, known as Hermitage, became famous throughout the region. It was said to have a unique depth and complexity, a reflection of the land and the man who cultivated it. The village of Tain, once a quiet backwater, began to prosper, its fortunes intertwined with the legacy of the hermit on the hill. Section 9. A timeless tale, the hermit's enduring message. Gaspar de Sterimber lived out his days on that hilltop, a testament to the transformative power of faith and forgiveness. He died peacefully, surrounded by the vines he had planted in the community he had touched. He was buried in the chapel he had built, a humble resting place for a man who had found peace in the shadow of war. His story, however, did not end there. It was passed down through generations, becoming a local legend. The chapel became a place of pilgrimage, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope and redemption are possible. Section 10. Echoes of redemption, hope in a complex world. Today, the legacy of the hermit lives on. The village of Tain is now known as Tan l'Hermitage, a lasting tribute to the man who sought solace on its hilltop. The chapel still stands a beacon of hope overlooking the Rhone Valley, and the Hermitage wines, renowned for their quality and elegance, continue to be enjoyed around the world. But perhaps the most enduring legacy of Gaspar de Sterimber is his story. It is a story that transcends time and place, a story that speaks to the human capacity for change, for redemption, and for finding peace, even amidst the chaos of the world. It is a story that reminds us that even in the darkest of times, hope endures.